Hey guys.
How's it
So,
going?
We're back during the daytime.
Yeah, so today we're just keeping it light because we're recording during the day, which is a little odd for us, but
It looks like there's some dark clouds out there. We've been
Yep.
getting a lot of rain lately, so that's cool.
yep.
Speaking of rainy days, I think it's been close to a year now. I've been sober.
Really?
Yeah.
So how are we going to celebrate? What are you drinking here today?
Well, I make like a little cocktail of things, which like
Mocktail, right?
yeah, I don't know if I have the rights to talk about exactly what these all are. I've got my glass of ice with my special cup here, and that makes it special, and some things here that I like to put in it. So I always start with the lightest thing first, right? This is a purple agave drink.
Mm-hmm.
So I pour that guy in there. We
It's
just
got
kind of
plenty of bubbles going
wait
on.
for it to like settle down, and then I poured my second favorite flavor in here. This one's kind of got some yellowish color going to it. Get some color in there. And then I pour the heaviest one, which is guava. So this is caruba and elderflower, agave soda water, and then guanana banana.
Guanana Bay.
Banana. Don't you wanna? It's pretty dang good. It definitely qualms after a hot day when I'm like craving a beer. It's good to have this.
Congrats, Nick, on your 1 year sobriety. I am at 3 weeks, but
I'm not quite there yet. November.
okay, November. I lied. In any case, I'm at 3 weeks and I'm really enjoying it as well. And I gotta say, he makes up these fun little mocktail things on the random all the time. Better give it a try here.
I do karaoke on Tuesdays and Thursdays.
Which is another reason why we are doing this recording today instead of tonight, because if not, it would be like 3 in the morning by the time Nick
What do you
gets
think of
home.
that anyway?
It's delicious. It's refreshing. And
Like, honestly, is it gross?
no, it's not gross. Why do you think it's gross?
I don't know.
Okay,
I
well,
think
I
we
don't
need
think
some
it is.
more of this. Maybe some of that. I don't know.
I think it's fine.
A little. That's better. Try that one. I had to readjust. Us guys like to readjust things.
It's fantastic. Okay, that's a little bit more refreshing. I am drinking a little chai tea latte and with oat milk. Yes, I do not drink regular milk. It upsets my tummy a little
So
bit.
what's up with all these different kinds of milk nowadays? Why do we have so many different kinds of milk? I hear almond milk is bad for you now.
Well, you
and
can't.
Soy milk makes you like your hormones or something.
Okay, so here's the thing. They started having milk substitutes, which, as we know, soy was the first kind of its kind. And then after they've done a little bit of research, they realized that soy was really messing with a lot of females' hormone levels, specifically estrogen. So it could cause any little bit of everything that you see. Maybe hormones being like chicks are being a little extra crazy, or it could also affect, fertility, all kinds of things,
So
weight gain.
soy lattes was what was making all these white girls crazy.
Yeah, it was making the white girls go crazy.
I see.
Yeah. So then,
it wasn't actually the pumpkin spice that was making them crazy.
it was
soy.
it was what they were. Yeah, and then I will say that yes, they started trying other things. Like almond milk was great, but what do you do if you have somebody who has an almond allergy and they have a dairy allergy and a soy allergy? Thus, oat milk was born, and that's fantastic. Then we have you like your coconut milk.
I
So
do
what
like
are you
coconut
doing
milk.
over here being all?
I'm judging. I'm being judgmental, which is what we were going to talk about. So, as Christians during Pride Month, I just wanted to talk about everybody's propensity to be judgmental and honestly just be like incorrect as Christians. I feel like so many people are so quick to point the finger of judgment when the first thing you have to think about, and the first thing that I recognize, is that of all sinners, I am a bigger sinner than most. And I feel like a lot of people as Christians, in their own kind of search for, dare I say, merit, or what's the term I'm searching for? Clout. In the search for clout,
they become self-righteous, thinking.
They become self-righteous, and they usually attack people who have a different sexuality than them.
Or they think they're better than everybody else,
or they treat people as if they're being
outsiders.
As if they're being somehow. And I will say, I have received, in fact, recently I've received some. Not scrutiny, but like ridicule for being a Christian over the past few days because it's Pride Month.
I have to, yeah.
The other day, this guy I work with, he was like, "Well, you're gonna be okay because the Lord is on your side," is like the way he put it.
Sure.
Which was like rude, but I think. And then another girl who also snapped her fingers and called me garçon, which I did tell her that was rude, and I was like, I'm not trying to be mean to you. I just kind of feel like you should know that that's rude to do. So you don't do it to somebody that's not as nice as I am about it.
Sure. But sometimes, you know.
Anyway, this girl had said, "Is that cross for Jesus or is it for justice?" And I just kind of looked at her and was like, well, I don't know. It's whatever you want it to be. And she was like, I want it to be for justice. And I was kind of like, I knew that was a setup for her to attack
Walk
me.
right into, yeah.
Yeah, so I kind of avoided it. And that's something that during Pride Month we need to do as Christians. Like, don't walk in, because what they want is for people to be judgmental, because then they can point the finger and be like, ha!
See, I told you. I knew you people
you're
hated me.
You're a horrible person.
Yeah.
And I mean, really, in all honesty, who are we to judge for something that isn't really affecting us? That's kind of, their sexuality is between them and God.
Mm-hmm.
And it, although, in my opinion, it does say in the Bible that a man shall not lay with another man like he does a woman, which is Jesus' words, so it is a Christian belief, and I do hold myself to that standard. That doesn't mean that Jesus doesn't forgive people for that sin. Now, in the Old Testament, it's considered an abomination, but we no longer live by the Old Testament. By the Old Testament standards, any of us with tattoos would be thrown into the lake of fire.
Which you could be judged for as well.
Yeah.
And are sometimes.
And it says here in James 4:11, do not speak evil of one another, brethren. He who speaks evil of a brother and judges his brother speaks evil of the law and judges the law. But if you judge the law, you are not a doer of the law, but a judge. There is one lawgiver who is able to save and to destroy. Who are you to judge another? And I think what James is saying here is, not to judge people, but to, you want to have that warmth that brings people in to, we exist to make heaven more crowded, not chase people away from it. And a lot of people, I feel like they become...
We should be more approachable, more loving,
and accepting of people's different lifestyles. Like, what did the apostles do but go to other countries where people had different lifestyles, different sexuality,
even different religions?
It doesn't mean that we have to take a part in it, nor do we have to accept an onslaught or a mockery of our beliefs, but at the same time, while they preach acceptance, we have to show that acceptance as well in like a meekness. It says also in James 3:13, who is wise and understanding among him, let him show by good conduct that his works are done in the meekness of wisdom. And what does that mean? It means, but if you have bitter envy and self-seeking in your hearts, do not boast and lie against the truth. And that's something that, truly, do I still live in sin? Yeah, I sin every single day. I can't help
human.
it. That's part of being human. Now, that means that you can't really go and be like, well, you're going to hell, and get angry at people. And I understand, our want to give ourselves merit by, saying oh, these people are gross and they do this and that and the other, and it's really comes down to, well, if they're not
just because it's not for you, that doesn't mean
it's okay for us to tell them what's right and wrong. That's for them to kind of figure out on their own. Anyway, that being said, humility, it says here in James that therefore submit to God, resist the devil and he will flee from you. Draw near to God and he will draw near to you. Cleanse your hands, you sinners, and purify your hearts. Purifying your heart, meaning I feel like a lot of people have this, and it's so hard to find, because we all want to impress others, right? So
sure.
It's that clout that people are seeking when they're attacking people. So during Pride Month, and then let's...
It's peer pressure, so to speak, right?
Let's talk about pride, because you can't, again, this is fighting fire with fire, back to fight, that. What our book says about pride is pride promotes strife. In James 4, verses 1 through 6, it says, where do wars and fights come from among you? Mm-hmm. We don't want more wars and strife amongst ourselves. As Christians, I believe that we should truly be trying to promote peacefulness amongst ourselves and anybody else that we might encounter. Where do wars and fights come from? They do not come from your desires for pleasure that war in your members. You lust and do not have. You murder and covet and cannot obtain. You fight and war, yet you do not have because you do not ask. You ask and yet you do not receive because you ask amiss. That meaning you're asking for the wrong things. When I think this goes to prayer, when we're in prayer and we ask God to do harm to our enemies or people that maybe we just don't like, when we ask him to do harm, we don't get what we want.
Right.
Because God doesn't do
that way.
Harm. It's not.
Yeah.
He is good. So we don't go praying to God asking him to hurt or change people. We go to him asking him to show others through us the truth, the light, and the way.
Yeah.
Yeah, it says, you ask amiss that you may spend it on your pleasures. Adulterers and adulteresses, do you not know that friendship with the world is enmity with God? Whoever therefore wants to be a friend of the world makes himself an enemy of God. And that goes to say then on top of this, if we don't like what we see, that means that we don't have to be a part of it. We don't have to be friends with everybody just to appease them in the world. The truth is that the important thing is that we're close with God. But at the same time that we don't, it's kind of complicated here because we don't want God to look bad from our actions, and we should have wisdom and humbleness in our actions. Yeah. But we shouldn't be participating, we shouldn't be. That doesn't mean then go to the Pride Parade and let your freak flag show. It means, ask God to guide us in a way that would show humbleness in that.
But it's okay to be proud of our religion, and be exemplary as a Christian. So perhaps that can inspire people to want to be a part of our Christianity.
It says, he gives more grace. Therefore, he says, God resists the proud, but gives grace to the humble. What we're searching for in this life is God and His heavenly blessing, right?
Mm-hmm.
If we truly want that, He gives grace to those who are humble. And humbleness, a lot of people miss the true meaning of humbleness. Humbleness is having a kindness about you and a gracefulness to be able to handle, maybe seeing the sin but not taking part in it,
Mm-hmm.
but yet at the same time not rebuking people unrighteously for it, but also still being able to protect oneself. Humble is such a interesting term. A lot of guys, they always post on their Instagram like, stay humble. And they're like the least humble guy that you've ever met in your life.
Sure, but the thing about humbleness, I will say about that, you can be great and be, maybe it's being a great athlete or a great Christian or, whatever, what have you. But the part about being humble is, again, not boasting about this.
Yeah.
It being great, but, maybe somebody is like, man, you really are great at golf or something. Instead of being like, yeah, I know, right? You'd be like, more on the, oh, thank you. I try hard, something like that.
Also, win and that reward to God instead of yourself by being like, well, I couldn't have made it here without the grace of Jesus or the grace of God. At any rate, moving right along, what have we next to talk about? I guess we have to revisit kind of.
We do have to rehash the topic which we discussed last week, which is in regards to World War III.
Does it drive you crazy when people chew on ice? I totally chew on ice.
No, it doesn't drive me crazy.
It doesn't drive you nuts?
No.
I feel like it probably drives
You know what
people
drives
nuts.
me crazy? What really grinds my gears is, kind of going back to talking about females and their pumpkin spice lattes and whatnot. But the girls, they've got their Starbucks cups with the straws and everything. And then you just hear them go, and there's nothing left in the bottom of the cup.
They're still
and I'm not trying to judge, but that does really irk me.
I mean, it's not judgmental. It's just annoying.
Yeah, obnoxious.
It's obnoxious. Yeah,
it is.
Like. But it doesn't bother you when I chew my ice?
No, it doesn't.
I realized the other day that I do that a lot, and I feel like I lost a tooth because of it. Because, I don't know.
That actually, they say that there's a connection of possible iron deficiency when you do that.
What is it? Because I want to chew on some iron? Should I eat a sword or something? An
No.
iron sword.
But maybe you have an iron deficiency. Maybe you don't. Maybe you're just addicted to chewing on ice at this point.
Maybe I should just get an iron tooth, and then I'll have more iron in me.
Yay!
That was the latest.
Fantastic. But let's rehash the World War III. And
did you know about the new COVID vaccine?
No, I did not know about the COVID.
They say that COVID had to get a vaccine against what's his name? Texas Walker Ranger.
What's his name? You like
you
to
don't
make all
even
the
know
jokes.
his name?
I can't. Chuck Norris.
Yeah, ding ding ding. They say that COVID had to self-quarantine against Chuck Norris
Oh yeah.
for 14 days. Yeah.
Are you
It's
saying?
all true.
Are you saying this because you love Chuck Norris jokes?
I'm saying this because I have to hear them all day at work.
Oh, okay. Got it.
But I love that guy. He's funny. Shout out to my homie at work that tells Chuck Norris jokes. I've never heard so many until I work where I work now. So You know, thanks to him,
Yeah,
I know all the Chuck Norris jokes.
What's ironic about that is then, you know, it really sticks to you and is very impressionable because I remember we were around your mother after you were the ship, and
I had to tell my mom a Chuck Norris joke, and
she's very conservative, y'all, and he broke out a Chuck Norris joke.
you know, they say you can hear Chuck Norris's roundhouse kicks from the Great Wall of China all the way here in the United States, and they can also be seen from space and the Great Wall of China, like around the globe. You can see
who are they? You know,
the Chuck Norris
fans.
No, he has like you know, it's like the Guinness World Book of Records where they go around following him everywhere, documenting his many.
Something tells me you would love to be a part of that crew.
You know, it wouldn't be too bad. I feel like, you know, there'd be a lot of karate.
Okay, well, neither of us have ADHD, we promise, and
did you
that
know?
Would be a broken promise.
I'm just kidding. So
World War III.
World War III is apparently not happening somehow. Although, okay.
The 12-day war, according to
Iran fired 12 more missiles, I believe, after or before, or we're not really sure. It sounds like a mess over there right now. Basically, Daddy D and Vance, baby Vance.
Yeah, little baby Vance.
Little baby Vance have been, you know, directly and indirectly in contact with the leaders of these two countries. We're talking about Israel and Iran.
Iran.
And
Iran over here, Iran over there.
Talk about dad jokes.
Hey, you started with some Chuck Norris jokes.
Yeah, those are great. Nobody's ever annoyed by those.
And nobody's annoyed by dad jokes.
Anyway,
dad and mom.
So they're in talking with Iran, and basically, Daddy Trump is like, "Hey, we're gonna sign this peace treaty that both Iran and Israel agree to a ceasefire on both sides." And what happens? But Iran desperately starts firing more missiles at Israel, right? Like, it's like two little kids right now. Like, it was like dad had to
I think
step
there's
in.
more than two kids, you know. Like,
I mean, I'm just saying the leaders of these countries are here we've come in and kind of like we spanked one of them. And although in my opinion, I feel like they're both kind of deserving of a spanking in this one. But,
yeah, well,
you know, being as that Trump wants to make it look like he's going with Christ, although, I don't know, it's very confusing. But basically, we went in there and we were like, okay, Iran, you're not allowed to have nukes because we don't trust you. Like, kind of like, you know, a kid with,
they have to have sparklers, so they don't get to use bottle rockets, but they have sparklers.
Well, Israel has bottle rockets,
right.
But Iran's trying to get a hold of some bottle rockets, aka nuclear weapons.
Right.
And we've told them multiple times, like, no, we don't trust you guys with these because you keep hurting your own people and bombing Israel and stuff, even though Israel keeps bombing them, but, you know, we trust them.
They're getting confused.
It doesn't make much sense because Israel also bombs people, and they also have nuclear weapons. But like, we're happy to give that to them, but then Iran, we're like, we don't trust you. But they're also like, they're not great to their people. They're kind of, you know. Anyway, it's like with Iraq, like where like they're using nerve gas like on their people and stuff. And even though we kind of put that guy, you know, Saddam Hussein into power, we went in there and took him out of power. Yeah. It's like turning the lights on and off. You know? Sure. We're just kind of doing that. Anyway, so this huge success, now it's just, I mean, if you look in the media, it's an absolute train wreck. Some are like reporting like, great success, we destroyed the nuclear facilities, you can see clearly that everything was destroyed, even though then there's other reports that like there was like a line of trucks in satellite images. Because I mean, we couldn't have announced that we were going to do that any louder. We were like basically with like trumpets and horns, like, okay, these are the exact bases that we're going to blow up. So be ready for that. And then we went over there, and then I guess they did the same thing with us, where they were like, okay, in Qatar, I think, or like the Strait of Gaza, like so Iran, and then there's Africa.
Gaza Strip, yeah.
Yeah, well, no, the sea there that goes up into the Mediterranean, and then there's like a little channel.
Yes.
That we're afraid they're gonna cut it off because then we can't get oil from like Africa into Europe over to the United States.
Yes.
Which will make the price of oil skyrocket. So folks, get ready for that because if you've got like a 55-gallon drum, fill it with gas.
Do it
and
now.
If you get non-ethanol gas, like find a gas station that sells non-ethanol gas. It's a little bit more expensive, but it's 100% pure gasoline, and it will last forever. I don't care what anybody tells you about it, like expiring. I've gotten that forever. It's always what I get. I put it in my truck. Fill as much of whatever you possibly can, which I should probably do this week, with that non-ethanol gas, because it will not expire. It will last forever. Also run your vehicles on it because it doesn't have ethanol in it, which is basically wood grain alcohol, which you can't drink, so don't drink gasoline. That's kind of a given, but just
also
so
don't puff gasoline.
Don't do those things.
Right.
Anyway, get as much as you can now and save it, because here's the thing, is Iran historically, right, has always been there, okay, think back on the last time a bunch of stuff blew up and we were like, oh, it's like these guys or these guys, but like let's be completely real. Survey says it was actually terrorists. And those terrorists came from, survey says, Iran. Yeah, so when you're talking about, and I'm not talking about 9/11, I'm talking like everybody argues this, which like it's like insane. When they're blowing stuff up in Europe, remember all those train attacks and stuff that happened?
Yes.
I'm not going to go too deep into it because people will probably argue with me about it because everybody has their own opinions as to who's controlling those terrorist units, but that's what we are preparing for over here, is now that we've done this. I mean, the thing is we may have blown up these nuclear facilities, but like we also announced it days ahead of it happening. So they clearly still have nukes or the ability to continue enriching uranium. They've proven that they can enrich uranium to 16 or 60% or something like that. Basically, they have weapons-grade uranium. We know that they do. A nuclear bomb doesn't necessarily have to be dropped by like an airplane. All they need to do is somehow get it into the country. Mm-hmm. So, and like Iran has threatened us directly, being like there will be retaliation. They agreed to the ceasefire, but that doesn't mean that they're not, because they've said, I think his exact words in English, where you may have started this war, but we will be the ones to end it. And we all know that they don't act with like they're not going to send like a boat with like some planes on it like we do, where it's like, we do everything by laws, international law. Yeah. So there's international law, like when you're in the military.
Yes.
And there's, in fact, a soldier has more rules of conduct than a police officer. A police officer can fire at you their weapon because they thought you had one. Right?
Sure.
If you're a soldier, you can't do that. There's a whole set of rules of engagement. Like, you have to be pretty much directly shot at already in order for you to pull your weapon and fire on somebody else. And you have to know beyond a shadow of a doubt that it's not friendly fire and that it's enemy fire. And you have to prove that in international law, or you could be held accountable and be, what's the term? dishonorably discharged from the military, which is like worse than being a felon.
It's the last thing you want. Trust me, I've worked in veteran law, and it's the last thing you want is to be dishonorably discharged, because that means you will never, like, if you have been injured or you have some sort of disability that's tied to your service, if you're dishonorably discharged, you are not entitled to those benefits. So I really don't want to go there.
Yeah.
Besides the fact that you don't want that reputation of being dishonorably discharged.
Yeah, I mean, it's at any rate.
Yeah.
So, nothing particularly striking from the Bible that I see that has to do with this, other than this kind of formation of what are we talking about? We were
going to talk about briefly. Hey, what do you guys think? Do you think that this is now we are going to be totally at peace and there's going to be no more retaliation? Or what are your thoughts? Do you think that there's going to be absolutely more retaliation from Iran and it's going to come when we least expect it? That's what I was curious from our viewers.
Yeah, what do you guys think? Personally, I think that something is going to happen. What about, have you seen in The Simpsons? Have you seen, there's all this stuff going on about The Simpsons, and, like, I'm kind of curious, like, I kind of want to look it up, because they said that, like, in several episodes of The Simpsons, they predict that, in July of this year, there's going to be some sort of, like, EMP attack or nuclear weapon, and it's going to disrupt the power grid, and we're going to go back to the Stone Age, basically. I mean, I'm all for it. Like, I'm into that. Like, I will eat me some leaves and live in the woods. You're coming with. It's gonna be all right.
Yes, absolutely. Well,
I know that it's going to be hard to make, like...
friends with the animals.
Friends with the squirrels.
And
well,
you know how much I love squirrels. So
you could eat one.
I'm not gonna eat a squirrel.
Why not?
Because they're sweet and cute.
Rabbits it is then.
Rabbit stew, just like
what's that?
Yeah, and The Hobbit.
Gilligan's Island. It'll be all Gilligan's Island up in here. The hat. I didn't wear the hat. I should have worn. I had a bucket hat, and I could have been Gilligan.
Which we got last week when we were thrift shopping, because we loved a thrift shop.
We went kayaking with my mom the other day.
We've been going on some adventures,
we kind of talked
y'all.
about that. We went cliff diving the other day.
Oh, y'all.
Oh yeah. Hey, what about that in trusting God?
Yeah.
Did you pray while you were
I
up there?
did.
I just jumped.
I did. I absolutely prayed. So we go to this place called Paradise Cove, or locals call it Paradise Cove, and it is up in the mountains. It's about, 20 miles from Cripple Creek. There's multiple ways you can get there. We like the scenic route. However, I will say the scenic route on Nick's terms of how he drives was a little scary.
Videotaping and texting and shooting out emails while driving through Woodland Park is totally that. Like where I grew up, we have
cliffs,
that.
You guys, on windy roads.
Fine.
They're coming out.
I have my little phone holder. You just have your phone in the same area as where you're driving.
Meanwhile, I could text for him. He's like, no, I got this. And shifting gears and
I also
sticker out of the hand. Don't worry, guys. We GoPro'd it all, so you'll get to see that at some point.
We can show that to you guys. If you guys, somebody interact with us, please. Somebody just comment one thing, and we'll show it to you. You just gotta ask us. I know there's people watching this. We have subscribers.
Anyway, so really enjoy.
I'm calling them out.
I get that.
Now. Okay.
As I was about to say, we have really enjoyed our adventures. So if there are some other adventures that you guys might know about, some maybe cool water holes,
places
hiking,
where else do you want to see me jump from a cliff?
Yeah.
To
hopefully not a shallow landing.
Given some ropes, I will possibly go, to an old... I know you won't. That's okay. You can stand at the top and call for help when I get stuck.
Yeah, so in any case, Coffee Gorge, y'all, if you want to look it up, it's worth it. I recommend going during the weekday. We went on Juneteenth, so that meant a lot more people out there.
It wasn't that bad though.
There were some parents and stuff like that, families, but for the most part, it were about people that are about half of our age. But
this one kid was so nice to her.
Yeah, we get along great.
He was like explaining to her how safe it was. He's like, "It's all right. I've gone several times," and blah blah blah. And he's like, "Don't worry about it, because it is good. Like once you get up there, it's all scary."
Yeah.
But,
look, I've done some cliff diving in Texas, around like Lake Travis,
it
in
is
Austin.
kind of
I have in New Mexico, and I will tell y'all that I have a few rules about it. And usually it is that I have to check the depth of the water, especially if you are cliff diving with one or two people. Never ever go cliff diving alone. I can tell you that. We can circle back to that as a reason for later, but
500 likes and I'll jump in a hole by myself.
No, you're not doing that. No, I need you. Our kitty needs you. Your mommy needs you. So
it's all right. You'll be all right.
Anyway, the fact that tons of other people had already been jumping, I did take sort of that leap of faith in knowing, hey, we're fine, but he was our test bunny, so he went up there first, and I didn't know he was going to jump so fast. So
No,
I did get video footage for you guys, and I will show that on our show at some point. And let me say that he jumped so quickly that before I could double click on my camera, on my phone, and hit record, that's when he goes to jump, and he jumped from, it's about, if you jump from where most people jump is 20 feet, he jumped another 5 to 10, maybe even 15 feet higher than everybody else. Because he went, yeah, and he didn't, I don't even think, of course you didn't pray. You had no time to pray. He just,
it's okay.
He just went full trust falls, just went for it, and I go, oh my goodness. So then, of course, that meant, of course, I definitely had to go. I wasn't going to not go. I couldn't chicken out. It was my idea to go there in the first place. I've been there before, but I've never been able to jump. And
really? You'd never jumped before that?
No, I never got to jump before, because any of the times I've gone up there before, if you don't go before July, the water levels will be significantly lower, and in which case it is not safe to jump. I will tell you that.
We were getting a lot of water.
But that's because we went literally at the sweet spot. Not at the beginning of June when the water is ice cold. And it was kind of the middle of June, so it's safe to still jump. And in any case, when I was up there, I went a little bit further down than where Nick jumped, and I did say a quick little prayer, and I just didn't want to overthink it. I think I stood up there about 10 seconds, honestly. That's it, literally 10 seconds. I listened to what the sweet kid told me that, you know, he's telling me obviously where to jump into. Keep your legs straight. And he did say that I wasn't going to touch the bottom, but I did touch the bottom. But yeah, in which case, when you jump in nice and straight, feet first. Definitely wouldn't go diving your first time. And once your feet hit the water, let your knees go up. And I was fine. I will say the adrenaline rush got me going. But God did have me. God had you. And we got to enjoy some of God's beautiful nature. So, good times.
So, to end on a interesting note here, we're talking about the beast and his armies defeated. So this is kind of, while Hayley's been kind of talking about this is kind of what I wanted to end with. Speaking about the war in Iran and everything, this is what the Bible predicts will be the end result of this. It says, the beast and his armies defeated. Then I saw an angel standing in the sun, and he cried with a loud voice, saying to all the birds that fly in the midst of heaven, come and gather together for the supper of the great God, that you may eat the flesh of kings, the flesh of captains, the flesh of mighty men, the flesh of horses, and of those who sit on them, and the flesh of all people, free and slave, both small and great. And then I saw the beast, the kings of the earth and their armies, gathered together to make war against him who sat on the horse and against his army. Then the beast was captured, and with him the false prophet who worked signs in his presence. This is the guy who made fire fall from the sky. So that's interesting. Are we talking about Donald Trump? Are we talking about the leader of Iran? Are we talking about the leader of Israel? Are we talking about all three combined? When I was just watching this video, when we're talking about the four horsemen of the apocalypse, you know that God colors them white, green, black, and red, right? What colors are all of the countries surrounding Israel? But all of their flags are white, red, green, and black. So, and there's 7 of them. We're talking 7 trumpets. Anyway, 7 seals, seven, the 4 colors. Like there's a lot of imagery and symbolism that seems to be coming to light here. Then the beast was captured, and with him the false prophet who worked signs in his presence, by which he deceived those who received the mark of the beast and those who worshipped his image. These 2 were cast alive into the lake of fire, burning with brimstone, and the rest were killed with the sword which proceeded from the mouth of him who sat on the horse, and all of the birds were filled with their flesh. Good news, then Satan gets bound for 1,000 years, and then the saints reign with Christ for 1,000 years, and then the satanic rebellion is crushed. Now when that 1,000 years have expired, Satan will be released from his prison and will go out to deceive the nations which are in the 4 corners of the earth. Gog and Magog, we're talking about. Gog and Magog are actually Russia,
China,
and China, to gather them together to battle, whose number is as the sand of the sea. China and Russia, right there, Gog and Magog. They went up on the breadth of the earth and surrounded the camp and the saints in the beloved city, and fire came down from God out of heaven and devoured them. The devil who deceived them was cast into the lake of fire and brimstone, where the beast and the false prophet are, and they will be tormented day and night forever and ever. It keeps going on. It talks about heaven coming to earth and all that stuff. But let's get to that in another episode. We'll talk about my vision that I had that brought me back to Christ. And let's just end in prayer. All right. He who testifies these things says, "Surely I am coming quickly. Even so, come Lord Jesus. The grace of our Lord Jesus Christ be with us all." May you just reach out to anyone who's hearing our message, Jesus, that even if they are a Christian and a believer, that maybe you could use our message to further glorify you, to maybe help other people understand in these uncertain times what's going on in this world. And Jesus, I just pray for anyone who's lost their job recently because of what's going on with the government and Trump and everything, to understand that you love them, Jesus, and that, like, even though times are uncertain right now and things aren't going great, that you're there for them, that you are truly a great and good God, and that you hate no one, and that you love everyone, even those that we don't really understand how they can be loved, but that you understand the instances of everyone's circumstances, and that you're there to cover everyone with your divine love and protection. Jesus, I just pray that you give us the strength to not only forgive ourselves and to ask you for forgiveness, but to forgive others. And I just pray that if there's anybody out there needing forgiveness from you, that you get through us, show them that your forgiveness is unconditional, Jesus. And Jesus, we just ask that you bring great things into our lives, that you bring more and more abundance in our lives, in others' lives, and those around us, that you guide us through these uncertain times, and that you bring great things to us in the future. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Thank you once again for watching, and please hit like and subscribe and comment anything you like, whether that's any future adventures that you guys like to see us go on, or have any comments on that. Any mocktails you might want Nick to try out.
Yeah. If you guys comment a mocktail, I will try to get the rights, or at least like email whatever company and ask them if I can show their products, because like as you can see, I kind of like you might be able to kind of tell what this is,
you know what they are,
but like I covered up the logos because of legal purposes. I'm not really sure that I can show that sort of stuff. But cheers to everyone. I hope we're all having a great summer. I hope that you guys are staying safe. And as always, we love you guys.
Yes.